good evening, good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Money with Friends. Every week, we have the privilege to come to you to talk about money, life, and everything else. We saw on this show, money encompasses everything, which means like everything that has money, money denominator, we want to talk about. And I think culture, ancestry, where you came from, really has a lot to do with power. It has a lot to do with, you know, so many things. And I feel like tonight, this conversation that we're going to have, it's going to actually bring it home. Tonight, we have the privilege to welcome Her Excellency, Princess Magalie Jean-Michel Kpolidji. And I've known Magalie for Princess Magalie for over 2 decades actually, and we met when we were both teenagers. And recently we connected, and when I reconnected with her, and she was like, I was like, she saw me online, and got reconnected, and she was like, Gabrielle, I've been doing so many things in the last 20 plus years, and I wanted to learn more. And that's why tonight we have the privilege to learn more about how she's been able to recover, rediscover, reconnect with her family back to Africa, and how she was able to coordinate as a princess back home. And the reason why this story is so intriguing for me, because as you know, in the Haitian culture, we talk a lot about General Toussaint Louverture and Jean-Jacques Dessalines. I had never met anybody who was a direct line to those two people, meaning like someone who could say, "Oh, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, Toussaint Louverture was related to me." I'd never met anybody, and I know as a culture we would want to know who these people are and how they have it, and how we can use what they have, because there's a lot of information that's been hiding, and gonna be able to let you know how her own family had really crucial information that we as a society never known about. And I know Toussaint Louverture, ever since I was in high school, anybody you talk to would let you know, oh yeah, we know about Toussaint Louverture and Jacques Dessalines, because they are global figures. But for us, they are forefathers back home in Haiti. So I just want to remind you that this show is for you and for your friends and for everybody else. And because this topic today, fighting your roots, a journey of ancestry, identity, and discovery. Yeah, it's important to know where you came from, because until you know where you're from, you will never know where you're going. And I think it's very crucial to learn from someone who has actually done the work. And now you never know, if you are like me. I've always been curious about anthropology, history, sociology, and geology. And because I've always been curious, when I hear stories like this, I want to learn more. And also, too, I don't know if you all are familiar, there is a show online. I believe his name is Louis Gates Jr. He's a professor at Harvard University, and he has a show called Fighting Your Roots. And every single time when I see him on that show, introducing people that we've known for years, not only introducing us to their ancestry, but introducing them too, because many of them didn't know their history. Because of course, after 1, 2 generation, we kind of lose connection. But this today, it's amazing to have someone who was able to trace her history going back to 5 generations. So I'm looking forward to this. Please tag, share, let your friends know that we are on every Wednesday, and we bring relevant and timely conversation to you and your family. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Your Excellency Princess Magalie Jean-Michel Kpolidji on the show, and to have her give you an opportunity to quickly introduce herself. Let her know, let you know how long she's known me, and yeah, and why she decided today would be a great time to share a little bit, just a little bit, because there's so much to share. But she's gonna share a little bit about her history with the line of questioning that we have tonight. Your Excellency, Miss Princess Magalie, welcome to the show.
Hi, Gabrielle. Thank you for having me.
Oh, hold on one second. I just realized that I was, yeah, go ahead. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you for having me. Good
Yeah, we had a
evening. Good evening,
yeah,
everyone.
thank you for being on. And we had a little setback, that's why we're all behind schedule. But you know what? When you saw a show that I did and you were like and you kind of reach out to me because we've known each other. We've been on social media for years together, but you've been very quiet. And I didn't know you had been on such a beautiful journey in the last God knows, like 10 years, right? You've been on that journey to reconnect with your family and your ancestors back home, back to the motherland in Africa. Can you hear me?
It's been a journey. That's one of the reasons why I stepped back. Yes, I could hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Can you
can
hear
hear
me?
you. Yeah,
Can you hear me?
yeah.
All right. I was saying that, yes, it's definitely, as you know, I've always been very active and engaging in the community. So during this time, especially around COVID, definitely took a step back to elevate and really go full force with the journey and getting my and so forth.
Yeah, definitely. So, I had to call, my gosh, Her Excellency Princess Magalie, Kpolidji, Kingdom of Allada, Benin. Now I know Benin
It's a
because
lot.
I'm always curious about Africa. So obviously, you see, I made sure I looked up proper for you today. I've always been curious about Africa because we all know it's the original, right? That's
Correct.
where we all came from. So Benin, it's huge in our community because so many of our ancestors are from there. So what made you decide? How did you decide that it was time to rediscover your your ancestors and go back to Benin to find out more?
It wasn't necessarily a journey, it was more my legacy.
Mhm.
I am just basically stepping into my birthright and honoring my ancestors, not to mention honoring my 100-year-old grandmother. So she's the one that we couldn't do anything without her blessing. So that's primarily the reason why we were all silent. Um, so that's where we're at.
So your grandmother is 101 years old?
My grandmother's 100 going to be 101 in a
Oh
few
wow.
months.
That's great. So she had a lot of history to share with you, correct? And she's been keeping those a secret, or she
Without
just like
question.
recently? So it's just recently she's
She
decided that
originally
it
kept
was
it a
time
secret.
because
No, it wasn't.
why was that?
I pushed her, not pushed her. I'm not going to say pushed her. We've known about the legacy, but it was one of those things that we really did not fully manifest or move into it.
Mm-hmm.
And without question, the more I started to do the research, the more I saw my family's name on at airports and so forth. And without question, we had a meeting and I spoke to my grandmother and let her know that we need to start being silent because it's a disservice to our legacy, our heroes. We have a lot of organizations, we have museums, we have colleges and universities that are speaking our legacy and speaking the name of our ancestors, yet we are sitting in the background being silent. And
Yeah,
I and my grandmother was hesitant because it was more for safety reasons why we were quiet and why she didn't want us to say anything. So, and the more I went back and then I found out some things about royalty, and I was like, Grandma, you've been keeping secrets.
yeah,
Come here.
yeah. Well,
I was like, we need to go on
I know
ballet.
exactly. I have to admit,
Uh-huh.
ever since I've known you since high school, I think you were either a class behind me. ever since your brother was, I think we were on same level at same promotion, but ever since I've known you, I've always thought of you as royalty. I think it's in your DNA. Or do you believe that it's just like, even though your grandma had kept it a secret, but you've always carried yourself like a queen, as a matter of fact.
It's without question the DNA. It's we
Yeah,
have such a powerful legacy, a powerful background. I mean, I will say that in Haiti, being born in Haiti, what I do remember, I was born with literally a silver spoon in my mouth.
yeah,
Had living nannies, had drivers, cooks, um, it's almost like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air with a Jeffrey. We had our Jeffrey and
yeah,
living in a compound with reinforced gates. I remember that. So transitioning into the US, that prestige that I was born into.
yeah. We are your camera is. I mean, the internet is breaking a little bit, but hopefully we can continue this conversation. I wanted, because we talk about bloodline and how you are directly connected to royalty, Haitian
Mhm.
royalty, and we all know, like, if you went to school, even if you had not gone to school, like recently I was at an event at the Fenway. We had a cultural event in the Haitian community here in Boston to celebrate Haitian Heritage Month. We had everything had Petit Dessalines, right? Simon Dessalines. And that was I was very proud of that because I know what Dessalines stood for and what he how much he means to us as a community. And not only the Haitian community but worldwide because of the impact that what they did, how it impacted other countries, which for those of you who study world history, you know our imprints are everywhere in the liberation of so many other countries. So please share a little bit more about how you and your family is connected, how your family is connected to Toussaint Louverture and also Dessalines.
Well, with respect to the Haitian cultural nights, I know exactly because I've seen the advertisements, and so us the family to participate, but maybe in the future we'll be able to move forward towards that. But the alignments, the scheduling, the conversation, we just had to take a step back.
Mhm.
But for the most part, without question, there was some there was the finalizing things was just not aligning
Mhm.
with scheduling and so forth. But for the most part, to answer your question regarding um, the bloodline, mm, it was more towards my grandmother
Mhm.
um, marrying into the family, my 100-year-old grandmother marrying into the family. In addition to that, the more we discovered, the more research we did going back to the royal side. And my lineage carries through my great grandmother, um, fourth great grandmother, which was Princess Marie Noel Louverture,
Mhm.
who was General Toussaint Louverture's sister. So
Mhm.
that's where my bloodline traces into. And of course, with President Francis Antoine Simon, who is Princess Marie Noel Louverture's grandson, in essence, makes it Emperor Jean-Jacques Dessalines' uncle. So that's how the royal bloodline goes to, as well as going back to the king, finding going back to the most powerful, one of the most powerful king in Western Africa.
Yeah. For those who are not familiar with I mean, I just explained it a little bit, but for those who are not familiar, can you explain like share a little bit more about Toussaint Louverture and Jean-Jacques Dessalines? I know we're going at a macro level here. Can we go a little bit micro and explain it to those who are not familiar?
Yes. So the misconception that has been going on the Western colonized history is that General Louverture was born a slave, born into slavery. And that is completely, absolutely false narrative that must be, the truth must come out. General Louverture was the grandson of one of the most powerful kings, again, in Allada.
Hmm.
And his father was Prince Gagawu. And his father actually ended up in Saint Domingue on a mission to inspect the brutality that the French was imposing on the enslaved people driving onto the island. It was the French was not going to let him return back to Africa so that the brutality wasn't reported to the king. So in return, they basically held him, but they also held him because there was almost an uprising with the enslaved prisoners and the enslaved Africans who were transported to Saint Domingue from the transatlantic slave trade. And from there, the French knew the power of the lineage, the royal lineage, and to see the reaction of the enslaved Africans on the island, they knew that they could not keep the general in the prince, not the general, Prince Gagao, into bondage or anything like that. So they gave him 5 acres of land and they provided him with workers for the upkeeping of the land, which in return, while he was there, General Toussaint Louverture was born, as well as Princess Marie Noel Louverture, my fourth great grandmother, were born. So it's almost impossible to slavery when your parents were not slaves. You owned land and you had workers working on the land. So,
Hmm.
but the thing is that for the French, although they knew the power of the royal kingdom in Africa, they treated the prince with royalty, but in the books, that's where they changed it and said he was enslaved.
Hmm.
But that's the narrative that we need to correct.
Yeah, definitely. I
And
think, sorry for cutting, but I think definitely there's so much that we can learn from your history. And no, you've mentioned a couple of times the Kingdom of Allada. Actually, today I was talking to someone because the second I started talking to you, I'm a student of, I love to learn. So I've been doing some research and I've learned so much about the Kingdom of Allada. But I was talking to a friend today and I mentioned it. She's like, oh, I'm familiar. And I had never met anybody who, familiar. So I don't know how many of our viewers now or in the future are going to be familiar with this. But I know you just mentioned like your family lineage in Haiti. Now, recently, a couple years ago, you went to Benin to find out more from your African side of the family. The Kingdom of Allada. Can you explain how is that? Yeah, you just mentioned it, but can you give it like simple explanation for those who are watching?
the Kingdom of Allada, as mentioned, was one of the most powerful royal kingdoms of African Western Africa.
Uh-huh.
It was so powerful, and it actually predates Western monarchies by 200 years. And when you look at the royal kingdom of Dahomey, which is Abomi, and the Ogoji, that is basically where the kingdom of Allada
Mhm.
is. But for the most parts, it is one of the most till today is one of the most powerful royal kingdoms in Western Africa.
Yeah, and I know the history was there were three brothers and then they kind of divided. So share a little bit of that history with our audience.
Yes, so there are 16 royal kingdoms in Benin right now,
Mhm.
and the kings were the kings. The brothers were the siblings and were the children of the king, going back to the 1400s.
Mhm.
So that's when they started to divide. And again, one of the most famous um royal kingdoms is the kingdom of Dahomey with Agoji. Davis actually played Aunt Tanya on the Woman King.
Yeah.
So that part of the connection where it branched off.
Yeah, so Viola Davis, a well-known famous actress here. You saying like Antoya, the woman who was Dessalines' adopted mother. Her
It,
character
it,
was based on that.
it similarly aligns
Say that
with
again, please.
it. It similarly aligns with it for the simple fact that um, Emperor Dessalines, his mother passed away because his mother was a general and was
Mm-hmm.
one of the Ogoji warriors. And when she passed away, Aunt Tanya came in and raised Emperor Jean-Jacques Dessalines into the powerful, historic emperor that he is. And then, unfortunately, he was overpowered, and both him and Aunt Tanya were overpowered by the French and brought to Haiti. Hence why they ended up in Saint Domingue.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing that the history books indicates that Emperor Jean-Jacques Dessalines was born into slavery, which is completely inaccurate.
Yeah, because he was born
In Africa,
in Africa in the Allada tribe, right?
not Alada, but it connected to the Dahomey.
The homie. Okay. Great. I
Yes.
mean, this is great history. I love history. I One of the things that I was very passionate about, I think I've mentioned that many times, and that's what has made me very proud to be who I am. Never been ashamed whatsoever because I know where I'm from, the lineage. Yeah. But I'm not as well, I don't know in terms of like my grandparents, but I know in terms of like as the collective, my history as a Haitian woman. So I was excited again when I heard all this from you, and I wanted to share. You have shared some pictures, your first visit to Africa, how you were received. So why don't we talk about that? How was the reception for you? Because here you are talking to your grandmother, and you're like, "Ma, grandma, it's time for us to reclaim our position as royalties, basically." Because you have the lineage, you have the ancestry, you have the connection, just like, like I say, Louis Gates. He will go and let people know about where they come from. What they do with that is up to them. So your mommy was like, and your grandma is like Louis Gates. She's giving you all that information, and she said you can learn more. And you decided that it was time for you to take the basically the pilgrimage to go back to Africa. I'm gonna share some pictures as your trip there. But meanwhile, can you let us know how was the reception for you, and how are you received, basically?
I was blown away. Well, first let's get something. Let's go back. We had to get consent from grandma because she's the matriarch of the family and she's the original princess.
Yeah.
So, and then of course with my mother and so forth. So upon receiving her blessing, it was important before we transitioned and started to go public with our bloodline
Mm-hmm.
to travel to the homeland, the royal kingdom of General Toussaint Louverture, and introduce myself to the king. But before that, had already made connection electronically.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I'm
had
gonna share
already
some
made
pictures while talking. I'm sorry.
yes.
I'm trying to multitask.
Oh, no, 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 no. That's
Yeah.
without question.
Yeah.
So it was a warm welcoming,
Yeah.
even going from the government of diaspora, the Madam of Diaspora. It was
Uh-huh.
so welcoming. The king was like, "Bring her to me" the moment I arrived.
And that's you in the red, right, Princess Magalie?
No, I'm in the
Oh,
white.
in the white. Oh, I'm sorry.
The king is in the red.
Okay, the king is in the, and what's his name? The king?
We just, you know what? Let's go with his mass his excellency.
Excellency. And that
Yes.
was, oh, that's, you are actually sitting in front of that,
Yes,
the statue.
the statue where Viola Davis portrayed in The Woman King.
Yeah.
That is a symbol to Antoya.
Okay. And so you were dressed, and I see you have the same headpiece. Is that your crown, or what is that?
Yes, so this is technically the crown.
Okay.
Now, the crown is the cloth, and then the hat basically seals the crown on. And as you could see, I don't know if you could see the panthers, because that is the whole Allada. And the name Kpolidji, my
Mhm.
royal given name, actually means the pathway of the panther.
Pathway of the Panther. Okay.
Yes.
Let me, I think we have some more pictures, but let me go back here. Um, so how long were you there for? And now you this what was this? Was that a special ceremony for you? A welcoming ceremony? What was that? What was being done here?
That was my coronation.
Coronation. And you
Yes,
went there for the first time and they decided that. And now I know anybody, like I could have gone and say, hey, I'm Gabrielle, I'm of the Dessalines or that. So how, were they able to verify? And
yes.
is that part of the process? We want to
I
make sure that
went
it's yeah, authentic. Yeah.
I went through an intense vetting process. The
Okay.
great news is that, my grandmother actually had and still have, we have in our possession original birth certificates.
Wow.
Um, we have original birth certificates. We have, so with the original, because things being that old, most
Mhm.
people do not have original authentic birth certificate. So I'm able to birth and other family members' birth
Yeah.
records and some of the documents
Okay.
indicate President Juan Simon, as well um, as well as Emperor Jean-Jacques Dessalines' name on it. So I even wired to get an FBI background check from the United States. So it was an intense verification process.
So you were the internet is working a little bit. I just want to reiterate, in order for you to have been put in the position to or to qualify for coordination as a princess of this particular kingdom, the Kingdom of Allada, you needed to have gone through a thorough investigation and background check. and then the
Yeah,
documentations that your grandmother had, and other documentation that you were able to obtain through your own research, those documentation were certified and validated as being authentic documentations.
we have documentation tracing back to 13 generations.
13 generation. So, oh, this is the fun of that particular. Yeah, I remember seeing that movie with Viola Davis, the Woman King. She was a powerful. That was a powerful movie, and you saying her character was based on this. So, if someone is going to Benin to visit, they'll see all this. And there was the door of no. This one here. Can you talk a little bit about this? And how did you feel when you were able to be in that vicinity?
That's if anybody really wants to understand the profound history of the transatlantic slave trade, they
Mm-hmm.
must go to Greta,
Yeah.
because that is where that is literally where those it just so happened when I took the picture, there was a group of tourists
Mm-hmm.
that was there, and I should have sent you another picture that has an empty spot, but that is physically where the auctions took place,
Mm-hmm.
literally where people took place. The atmosphere commands respect, and if
Mm-hmm.
anybody goes there without being humble, without being respectful, you have another alternative, because it's almost impossible not to be moved. And
Mm-hmm.
the memories of what the African people that were transported on it from across the globe, because that's one of the main places where it started.
Yeah.
It's moving, it's emotional, it's heavy, a lot of souls and energy is there.
Yeah. Definitely. It's very important because I think that's one of the reasons why so many have taken the time and used their resources to travel to Africa because there's a great connection. That's the only continent I've been to. How many continents we got? Seven. I've been to six of them, and I think this one here, Africa, is the only continent that I've been to where I felt like I was at home, and the second thing too, there was something spiritual about it, and especially when you have an opportunity to actually go to different places where the transatlantic slave marketplace happened, right? So the door of no
Yeah,
return is definitely a place where you would want to visit if you were to visit Benin, because at one point Benin was part of Nigeria, right? And now it's no longer part of
correct.
Nigeria. So yeah.
Benin was definitely part of Nigeria. And when you mention about the spiritual aspect, I've been to Sedona, and Sedona has a different vibe, a different energy, a calm and relaxing energy. But I will say, walking the grounds of where the transatlantic slave trade took place
Mm-hmm.
far exceeds the emotional connection that is there. And a lot of people go to Africa primarily for safaris.
Yeah.
I would definitely put Benin on that list to really get a profound understanding of where the transatlantic slave trade took place, the auction, as well as all of the royal connections to Africa, because a lot of people of color, that's their roots. Africa is the roots.
Yeah. And I think it's the roots of everybody. Uh, yeah. So let me just ask you. I believe we running out of time because we started late. But your story and your education here, you educated me and educating those who are interested in learning more, and I am very grateful for that. I wanted to find out. I know you went there and you were ordinated. Do you have a specific mandate? Because I could only imagine, like, there's so much you're learning and you can bring it to the States for to the diaspora, but also to our people in Haiti. Do you have a specific mandate that you were given as part of your ordination?
I will say that I'm still studying the art of being princess. It's almost like Princess Diaries, because it's one thing when you know that you were born of royalty. It's another thing to actually be transitioning into it.
Yeah,
In my defense, I was rogue for so long. So
yeah,
now I'm being wheeled back in
yeah,
and saying, okay, there are royal protocols. I'm still learning. And just put it this way, it's a lot. Princess Diary is a long, I mean, I have my publicist and I have my royal advisor and so forth, but it is definitely a learning curve. It's without question a very rare, profound legacy. Because like I said, there aren't too many um royal people, or there aren't too many people in general that can say that my bloodline manifested from the Haitian Revolution. And then in addition to that, seeing so many people on a global platform honor the names of your legacy in the royal kingdom,
mm,
having airports such as the Toussaint Louverture International Airport. What keeps my great grandfather's name alive is the Antoine Simon International Airport. And President Antoine Simon actually carries the name of three generations into his name because General Toussaint Louverture, he was born Francis Dominique Toussaint Louverture. And President Simon, he was born and named after the general, President Francis C. Antoine Simon. And it's the airport again, not just the airport, but the the evidence of the train system that is in Haiti. That's the legacy that he started when
mm,
he was in presidents back in 1910 when he started it.
yeah.
When
And
he started the railroad.
yeah, he was our 18th president, right, Simon?
He was
President
our
Simon.
18th president. Yes, President Simon and President Francis C. Antoine Simon was the 18th president of Haiti, and his legacy lives on through the railroad system that is still evidenced there and the Antoine Simon International Airport.
Yeah, definitely. You just mentioned the international. Actually, before I go, I just want to remind everyone again that this is a show that you want to share with your friends because we do bring relevant topics. And this here is history. History you want to share, whether you are in this country, overseas, anywhere you are, history matters. And also, I wanted to share a quick video of your ordination, and then I have, I believe it's one last question for you. So, can you, as this is being played, can you share a little bit about what exactly we're looking at here?
That was the acknowledgement from the ancestors and the past kings at the Royal Palace of Allada. This is the original palace going back 1400s where General Toussaint Louverture's father was born.
Okay.
And that is um, the king blessing me and welcoming the royal lineage on a in front of the royal kingdom and in front of the people.
Yeah. Definitely. So, in addition to being, when you went there, did you also meet the president of Benin and other officials?
I did not meet the president because during that time it was election time.
Uh-huh.
They were getting ready for the election, but I did go to the Royal Palace, not the Royal Palace, the Presidential Palace, and I met with government officials there. And we have a lot of work that we're going to be doing together,
Yeah.
connecting the
Yeah.
diaspora, especially between Haiti, Benin, and the
Let
United States.
yeah, let me stop this for now because it's really great information. But I think it's best that we continue the conversation. Oh, hold on. Let me stop it. Let me see if there were a couple. Oh, there were. Yeah, let me just show this again. Where you were inside of the house. Can you see the video or no?
No, I can't.
Okay, let me go back here. I think I need to go back and share. We are multitasking. It's fun. This is a fun show.
That is all you, Gabrielle. That is all you.
Yes.
You've always been a go-getter.
Yeah. So that's you are indoors now.
Oh, yes.
He's
He was praying over me and asking the ancestors to provide protection and blessings, and it was a blessing.
yeah. It's important. I'm gonna stop it now, but it's important to know where you came from. I think it really gives you a sense of self and sense of who you are. And I'm so glad tonight we've been able to have you, Her Excellency Princess Magalie Jean-Michel Kpolidji, Kingdom Allada,
Oh,
Benin.
apology.
I'm
Let
so
me
happy to have you here because Apology. Apology. I know. I'm sorry. I
apology.
kept
It
mispronouncing it. It's apology. The K is silent.
The K is
Apology.
silent, and I'm going to
Apology.
be honest.
The K
Even
is
with
silent.
me, there's a language barrier because this is new to me, and I'm still
Yeah.
learning. And it's a different language and different
Yeah.
dialects, dialogues. So I'm still learning.
Yeah, definitely. So I know so you've been introduced to your family back home, the royalty, the kingdom back home, and now you are back in the States. And I'm sure, as I said, your mandate to kind of bring the bridge the the cultures, right? And
Mhm.
so let me ask you, how have you been received by the West European or Caribbean countries, like including Haiti? I mean, I'm sure you've contacted officials in Haiti to let them know, and also in America, and other, because you don't want to be a secret princess, correct? And you have a job to do, because I think
Without
yeah.
question.
So so what are you looking to do, and how have you been receive, and what work can you do to help amplify your family legacy?
It's without question going to Benin. I was well received. My schedule was busy. I originally was supposed to only be there for a week, and it turned out to be 3 weeks, almost 3 weeks, because there was so much going on, and the king was very adamant about making sure that I went through a coronation process while I was physically in his presence, as well as, if I'm not mistaken, it was actually it's not that I'm mistaken. It was the first coronation where the Benin government witnessed it, one, and it was the first coronation that went international. The With respect to being back in the States, the Haitian government, especially the Boston Haitian consulates, they've had my documentations for over a year. The Washington Washington, D.C., Haitian, the Embassy of Haiti also is in communication. I've been in communications with them, expressing my interest. I was very interested in partaking in the 222-year celebration of Haitian independence this past January, or the however it's coordinated, it's just taken a long time. But at the same time, even I've also reached out to the government in Haiti. So, like I said, the Haitian community, the Haitian government is fully aware that the family is here in Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
Politicians are aware, and I'm looking forward to building a great rapport with them as the royal princess, as well as connecting the diaspora between Haiti, the United States, as well as Benin, because Massachusetts is the third largest Haitian population in the United States,
Yeah.
followed by Florida and New York. And there's a lot to do, and I cannot wait to really fully engage with the Haitian government and
Yeah.
the Haitian community.
Yeah, definitely. We need you to engage. The are you familiar with the Toussaint Louverture Cultural Center in Boston? I can, have you visited it? I cannot hear you.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am familiar. I have not received the invitation to have the in contact with them. I remember that I did attend one of their events earlier March, April of this year.
Mhm.
I'm assuming that their schedule is extremely busy. Um, we're not The family is not affiliated, even though it carries our bloodline's name. The family is not affiliated with um the family is here, and where we look forward to building a connection.
Yeah, definitely. Because I don't know if you know that recently Obama opened a museum in Chicago, and I know in so it's called the Obama Museum in Chicago, and then we have in Boston. I know the Kennedy Museum. So I'm sure all these cultural centers or museums, they all the families whose name are on those buildings are very much connected to them. So I would definitely encourage you to pursue what you need to pursue so that your family can get the recognition, right? That they deserve.
It,
And I think not only the recognition, but the respect, I would say, right?
it's a legacy.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to building the legacy, building the historical, profound history of such a powerful family, and all the contributions that my ancestors, not to mention my ancestors, did for the world, because Haiti is global
correct.
history, and for the royal kingdom,
Yeah,
because until today, Allada still remains one of the most powerful um, royal kingdoms of
yeah.
this time.
Yeah, definitely. Last week we talked about legacy, how legacy matters. And we know that when it comes to legacy, it's not only name legacy, but also the wealth and everything else that is associated with. Because I don't know if you're familiar, but there is a verse in the Bible that I believe in. It says, a wise man lives in inheritance for his children's children, right? And I think that's the legacy that we all want to have. Make sure that the inheritance that is rightfully yours, that you always have access to that. That's why last week I was very much excited to talk about estate planning, because again, you want wealth to stay in the bloodline, and you want the bloodline to benefit from the financial, the economic benefit of of what your bloodline is supposed to be. So that's why we encourage families to not negate the fact that planning matters. And unfortunately, when families stay incognito, like your grandmother and her the lineage before did, it does create some setbacks, economic setbacks, and also so many other setbacks. I would think. Would you agree? And you basically you're here today to say that you know what you were afraid before, there were some fears before, but not anymore. It's 2026, and you wanna reclaim your family's name, right? And do what's right for your lineage. Correct? Going forward.
It, well, the most important thing to remember is that due to the destabilization and other things, my grandmother protected her offsprings by keeping us quiet
Yeah.
because it's a big contrast between growing up in a very wealthy, protected, elite family in Haiti, and
Mm-hmm.
then transitioning to Medford at a very young age. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. There's a lot of collaborations that needs to take place, and without question, finding your roots is extremely important because too many of us do not know
Mm-hmm.
where we come from, what we've done, and the contributions. Because it's not just my family. There's a lot of people. Every soldier that that participated in Haiti's military, from helping the United States win its independence to helping to winning the Haitian Revolution, is beautiful. And in addition to that, not to mention, um, I remember being in school when the history was America doubled in size overnight, and the sadness of it is that I was in school learning about the the fights that the US had to go through with winning its independence against British, but never knew anything about Haiti. If anything, I was being taught that, and I love Napoleon based on everything that was being said. Never did we learn in school that my ancestors defeated Napoleon.
Mm-hmm.
America doubling in size overnight was because of the sacrifices of my direct bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
And not to mention Greece, how Haiti helped Greece remain the country that it is, not to mention how the contributions that Haiti made to Ethiopia, hence why the Ethiopian Bible is still one of the most oldest and most original Christian Bibles out there. Haiti is global history.
Yeah. Definitely.
And
Uh,
we all, it's not just my family, every soldier that died, rather you were fighting every Haitian that fought alongside the U.S. for the U.S. to win its independence, to the Haitian Revolution, to Greece. We all have a trace in one of those. So don't think about you're not royalty. If you have your lineage that's connecting to that, you are a powerful lineage, and we all need to live up to it.
live up to it, and also perhaps if you have the bandwidth, physical, spiritual, or intellectual bandwidth, you should definitely pursue the research to find out your lineage. I'm wondering. I know my brother, one of my brothers, actually said that he did some online research, and I know some people are apprehensive about those, DNA this, DNA that. But I think if you want to research, I would definitely do what Your Excellency did. Princess Magalie, she went and spoke to the eldest member of her family. My grandfather actually died at 104, and he died in 2014. He actually told us some history about his grandfather, and his grandfather was not born in Haiti. had a spoke another language, but because unfortunately because of migration, we came here and left him back home, and I did not have a long time to really dig into his history. And when he passed away, we had only spent maybe a couple years with him because he was back home and we're here. And we would see him, but not long enough to really dig. So you are very blessed, Your Excellency Princess Magalie, to have your grandmother who lives right here in Medford. And so she held on to documents. For those of you who don't have that, you can definitely ask elders in your family, do some record keeping it. When you go back home, perhaps you should go into records for like marriages and birth certificate, certain things, right? If they have access to, if they can find access. I know where I was christened, the church I was christened actually because I had to figure it out a few years ago. So you never know. There are information that, like you said, so many of us have history that we don't know about. And if you wanna research your family and your family history, if it's important to you, not everybody wants to know, but if it's important to you, you should definitely and do the work that Your Excellency Princess Magalie did. It's very important that you do that. So, lastly, I would like to say we would like to hear your final word for tonight for the people of Haiti, the diaspora, and also anybody who's watching who's interested in learning more about and do you have plans to take a group of us to Benin? Because I was telling my
I'd
friend, maybe
love
she'll
to.
take us to Benin since she's known now, and will be received very well,
I
right?
I would love to. I will say, let me tell you a little secret. When you mentioned your grandfather being living into his hundreds, just like my grandmother living into
Mhm.
her hundreds. Um, Prince Gagaou, General Toussaint Louverture's father, lived in into his. He was, I think, 110 years old, and he
Oh,
witnessed Napoleon kidnap the general
oh wow.
and take him away. So that's one. The last and final thing I would say is that we are all heroes. We all the in the book Maximize the Moments, it says our lives is nothing more than a hyphen in between two dates. It's up to us to maximize that hyphen.
Hmm.
It has nothing to do with a title. It has to do with your internal blueprints of what can you leave as your footprint on this earth, because
Hmm.
we all have something important to deliver.
Hmm.
And we also have to remember with colonization, a lot of enslaved people had their names
Hmm.
changed. So sometimes it may be a little bit more difficult to be able to trace your lineage, but however you want to trace it, the most important thing is that if you have elders in your life, I know growing up as a Haitian person, you don't ask your elders any information because it was disrespectful. But I'm blessed to even say with my great grandfather, Camilo Jean-Michel, he lived into his 90s. And I went to him. I said, Grandpa, sit. You don't have much time left. We need to talk.
Yeah,
And he was very cognitive,
yeah,
and he shared a lot of information with me as well.
yeah,
So even the Jean-Michel family is very powerful in Haiti.
yeah.
So and beyond, because my great grandmother, my paternal great grandmother, she was a French white woman.
Hmm.
That's my grandfather's great grandmother.
Hmm.
So our lineage, we need to step up. The division amongst your African, your Haitian, your Jamaican doesn't matter, because we are all one bloodline,
Correct.
and we need to start living together in unity and stop living apart in separation, because that mindset needs to change. We all contribute something, but the most hurtful thing out of all this, seeing the division, the walls still being up in Africa, but I love the fact that Africans are uniting across the globe.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. Unity. We all can uplift one another. And it's not just Africans, because as I mentioned, my grandfather's great grandmother, she was a white French woman. It's not about color, it's about unity.
Yeah. You gotta find out who you are, and I'm so glad you're doing the work for the Jean-Jacques Dessalines and Toussaint Louverture lineage to not only reclaim your identity, both privately and also publicly. It's very important to reclaim that publicly because I said to you when we're talking, I say your history is our history because we've honored General Toussaint Louverture and Emperor Jean-Jacques Dessalines as children of Haitian descent. But I think it's very important that you bring forth more information. You know, one day perhaps you could have a real museum like the Kennedy Museum or the Obama Museum. I just want to say last week we talked again about legacy matters. And I know I've had conversation with different folks. And I know in the career that I've had in financial services, over the years working in banking and as a financial advisor, the best way to be remembered, to really leave a lasting legacy, is to live, a wise man lives in inheritance for his children's children. That's what the good book tells me. So definitely you wanna those like the Kennedys, they left a legacy not only of the name but also of wealth, and that's why it's very important to do the planning that we talked about last week. If you did not see that show, please go see that show. And if you know someone who's curious about legacy, ancestry, lineage, and knowing you about where you came from, definitely you want them to see this show because your legacy matters, and how you pass it on, transfer your intellectual wealth and your financial wealth to your next generation also matters. So thank
Yeah,
you. I don't know.
without question, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And again, with my grandmother's blessing, she's already let me know, do not veer left, do not veer right, move straight, and always make sure that when you walk, you are walking in between Jesus Christ and your ancestors.
Yeah, definitely. You need to know your ancestors and you need to know where you came from. And that's why I would love to go on a trip with you to Benin.
Well,
And
let's
I
get
think,
ready, because as a titled royal ambassador to the royal kingdom of Allada,
yeah,
it's without question my travels there is going to be more frequent. And without question, I would love to start um, connecting other Haitians on a global platform back to Benin to trace their roots.
definitely. Well, with that being said, I want to thank you for watching. Thanks to all of you for supporting this program because, again, we could have had this conversation privately. But I feel like I've known, as I said, I've known Princess Magalie since we're in high school. And I've always known her to be royalty. And I could have had this conversation with her in private, but I wanted to have it publicly because, yes, money encompasses everything. Knowing who you are is also money. And also thinking about your legacy is definitely money. And also to not only the legacy of, we talked about it already, so I'm not gonna keep on doing it, but it's very important to think about your legacy and not let what you have of value just be out there. You gotta make sure that you pass it on to your children in the bloodline. In the Bloodline is very important. That's another book that I read a while back. It's called In the Bloodline. Passing your financial, your spiritual, and also your intellectual legacies to your kids. Thank you so
It's
much.
funny. I will say one thing. This right here is my royal pearl. When I got inaugurated, my coronation, this my name also stands for royal pearl.
Oh,
So, and these are royal pearls,
yeah.
and it's heavy, and it's heavy, and it's a blessing.
Yeah, definitely. You feel like royalty. That's why today I wanted to wear my Tanzanian outfit because I got this in
Yeah.
Tanzania and I wanted to wear it because I wanted to match your energy today. So
Yes.
thank you so much, Princess
Thank you for
Magalie,
having me.
for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time and your energy. And I prayed and I hope that those who are going to be watching this gonna learn a lot from it. And I know I'm gonna watch it at least a couple more times because you've said so many things here that we need to be reminded of again and again. Thank you so much for your time. Yes, tag, share, and make a comment. And have a blessed night. Until then, see you next week for another
Thank
episode
you.
of Let's Talk Money with Friends. Have a good night. God bless you. And